You're listening to Fucks Given, the one with Lucy May Dawson. Oh, hello.
Hello,
Reed.
Florence. How are you today?
I was just about to say I'm good, but then I thought about like how I actually felt today, and then a bit emotional weirdly this week.
I feel that. It's one of them goddamn weeks.
It is. Is that how you've been feeling too?
I had therapy. When you voice noted me about your therapy this morning, I was like, I had therapy too.
All the therapy stuff. Like, I have been struggling with my body, my confidence this week, because I really had this moment where just before my period, I took like a course of pessaries, like counterbalance pessaries for my BV. And I was like, this is going to be it. This is going to cure me. This is going to work for once. Because I haven't done like the full course of them without like having sex in between for ages.
Is this like a doctor's course?
No, it was like the over-the-counter. It wasn't antibiotics. It was just the over-the-counter stuff.
Oh, like the 7-day course pessary thing that you can get.
Yeah. So I did that, and I was, for some reason, I was so hopeful. And then I had my period, and I was like, when I finish my period, everything's going to be great, la la la. And then my period finished, and the BV came back for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And it plummeted me into the worst mood this week, because I was just like, how am I going to start dating new people? Like, people are going to think I'm gross. People are going to think I'm smelly. Like, woe is me.
People think I'm poo. Oh, baby.
Yeah, and it gets me in my feels about my ex as well, because I was just like, he understood my body and he was really nice about it, and now I'm not going to find anyone else that does that.
That's not true. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of people out there that will understand. And it's so shit that our mental health is so affected by our physical health, especially when it's something so intimate like our vaginas.
Yeah.
When it's
because I'm like, I want to get out having sex with new people, and then obviously I'm quite a sexual person, so I talk about sex, and then I'm going to be like, but then I'm like, oh, but like when it actually comes down to it, like, am I going to want to?
Yeah, fuck. It really does turn your head up, like your world upside down. Any kind of injury, especially when it's vaginal related, especially when it's like stomach related, it just makes you feel so shit, because it's that embarrassing kind of shameful stigma illness that makes you feel like you can't talk about it, because you get that weird guilt thing of, it's like, but it's so minor, other people have worse things to deal with and they're okay, but like, this isn't fucking minor. It doesn't matter whether somebody thinks you're drowning 2 feet or 20 feet, you're still fucking drowning, and this is important to you.
Yeah. As well, and I was thinking, if it was the other way around and I started dating a guy and then we had sex and he had a really smelly dick, like, would I continue dating him? I don't know.
Well, this is where the fear comes from, because you're projecting, right? You're thinking that somebody, like, you wouldn't date them, so somebody else wouldn't date you. That would, you're not going to date yourself. And when you're in that situation, it might be completely different. You're imagining a future that hasn't happened yet. You're imagining a worse fear that hasn't happened yet. Think about if it was like the love of your life. If he had a smelly dick, you wouldn't give 2 fucks. You'd be like, well, let's sort this out together, because this sucks.
This is true. Yeah. I had, like, in my therapy session, we had like a moment where we were talking to my vagina and like asking her how she feels, and
I love this. Talk to your vagina.
I told my therapist, I was like, yeah, I've got this new vibrator who like when I use it, like, it's made my clit bleed a couple of times. And he was just like, wait, hold up. hold up, Florence. Like, he was like, if someone came up to you and started beating you up so much that you were bleeding, would you just stand there and take it and not react? Like, and I was like, well, no. And he was like, well, you know, like,
wait,
your vagina's trying to tell you something. What the fuck just happened?
my light fell down. Sorry to interrupt your amazing therapy story. Shit. Sorry about that, Florence.
Yeah,
Fuck.
so my pussy is trying to tell me something.
Yes, especially
Tell me to respect her.
listen to her.
Don't beat her up. Don't drill into her with a massive fucking vibrator.
Yeah, although, and you're right, a bleeding clip from a vibrator is a big no-go. That's like a red fucking flag from your fucking vibrator. But if you've just said that you finished a big course of those pessaries, I know that with especially thrush medicine and BV medicine, it can really affect your skin in your vagina.
Sensitivity.
Every time I've had a course of something for thrush, if I've had sex afterwards, I'll bleed a lot, and it almost makes the walls of your vagina a lot like thinner.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's the same for your clit, but maybe it's affected it. Because, like, that's extreme for your vibrator to do that, to make your clit bleed. I mean, how many times are you fucking masturbating with it?
Only once a night. Like, it's not, you know, sometimes in the morning. But
that's
like,
not abnormal. You know, that's
no, it's not abnormally loads. But I guess the point is that I need to get back in touch with my body and stop using machines to pleasure myself, and like actually just like respect her, get back in touch with my sexuality. And I'm also, as well as doing this, I'm going on a bit of a journey.
A pussy journey.
With the Yoni nutritionist.
Yes.
And she is helping me eliminate certain foods from my diet that are bad for my gut health and my microbiome in my vaginal flora stuff.
Yeah, because it is all connected. It's just, and also, you know, it's all connected, especially by the mind as well. Like, if your mind's not in a great place, other bits of you are just not going to be able to heal as quick, and you're going to be what's the term when you're like hypersensitive, hyper aware of something, so then you think about it more, and then it becomes more. I'm not saying that you're thinking about your BV coming back, therefore it's coming back, but like,
I mean, I'm obsessive. I sniff my knickers when I go to the toilet.
Every time.
Not every time, but like at least once a day to check.
Yeah, I'm sorry, baby. That's horrible. You shouldn't have to go through that, especially when you've been so fucking kind to your goddamn vagina. But doing that little break,
so sad.
You got to do what you think's right, and having a break might be exactly what you need. Getting back down to your hands and to your roots and shit.
Just, you know, mindful masturbation.
Yes, because we fall into the addiction trap of, okay, it's bedtime, need to come, get the wand, buzz, come, put it back, go to sleep. And that's dangerous because you're not actually masturbating. You're just, it's almost like an addiction come. You're just getting it for like a dopamine rush when you don't actually need it.
Exactly. Yeah. So what's been going on with you?
Something similar, actually. I'm having a bit of a break from my wand because it's so easy to fall into the buzz come pattern.
Buzz.
It's literally just like a buzz. Okay, cool. That's it.
Yeah, literally. It's like, although I've even been finding it hard I've been having to really zone in on like a fantasy in my head to like get to the climax.
Yeah, fuck. It's like when your mind's not really in it. And I feel like that's when we shouldn't really be masturbating, is when we're masturbating because we feel like we have to, but not because we're horny or because something turns us on. It's just like, oh, it's that time of day again.
Exactly. Like, do this because it's going to help you sleep.
Yeah, and that's not true.
Because you've just got into the routine.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily help you sleep. You think it does. I think, a couple of weeks or months ago, my therapist told me to maybe not every night have a wank, and I've been doing that. Okay, I mean, most nights, I'd probably say about 5 times in a week I will wank, but those 2 nights where I do just go, no, I don't need it, and I make myself go to sleep really fucking hard at the start, but they do make a difference. I feel so much better, and I feel like I have a happier, healthier relationship with masturbation now.
That's really good.
And I'm also...
Look at us.
Look at us fucking growing. Not so addicted to our ones anymore. Fuck. And I have been trying to use other toys as well. So I did what you did. I put my toys away and I was like, no, I'm going to go back to my hand. And then I was there for like half an hour like, this is fucking bullshit. This is not working. I was like cursing my therapist. Like, you fucking told me this would work and it's not working. And I was so angry about it. And I was like, well, fuck you. And I just had such a tantrum and I got my wand out. And I have realised that, no, I don't want to put myself through that. I don't want to make my arm cramp up because I'm trying to reach an orgasm. It takes me so long, you know. I'd rather do it with a toy.
But is it about an orgasm? That's probably the question.
Whoa.
We should be like getting all tantric up in this shit and like getting like all the oils out, the lubes, the CBD lubes, and like just like getting ourselves like super wet and just like massaging and like caring for our vulvas.
I completely agree. I have such a better orgasm. You know, when you have those orgasms, like, pew, that means you haven't warmed yourself up enough. You need time to get into your head, into that sexy space. The other night, I was like, okay, I'm not going to rush into it. And I lubed myself up and I really like played with my body. I was like stroking my thighs, stroking my body, like really getting into like the zone, trying to visualize, trying to imagine. And like the orgasm was so much better than just that quick robotic, mechanical.
See, I haven't really done that. I think I've been like after the quick fix for so long now.
I think it's when our mental health's in a bad place. We don't want to give ourselves that like actual care and self-love that we need. When our mind's in a bad place, we want a quick fix, an easy dopamine rush. And then just to be like done with it. It's almost like disgusted with ourselves. Like, okay, fine, I guess I'll wag. Like, go to bed now, you disgusting pig.
My therapist said something today. He was just like, as corny as it sounds, like you have to be your number one lover.
Yeah, it is. It's corny, but it's so true. You have to fall in love with yourself and not put all of your love into somebody else, because that's where codependency happens. And we can go in waves. I'm definitely going through waves of like, I feel shit. I need my boyfriend to make me feel better. And that's so dangerous, because if he's not in a good place and he can't make me feel better, I end up feeling worse and then angry at him. And he's like, why are you angry at me? And I'm like, you didn't make me feel better. You didn't give me my dopamine rush. And it's I need to give myself that. I can't rely on anyone to give me that.
Yeah. Wow.
Whoa.
What a little therapy intro to the podcast. Shall we get Lucy on?
I think we should, before this, turns into another 3-hour podcast. Sexual interruption. Ruption.
We're here to talk to you about CHEEX, a platform that has everything from adult films, erotic audio stories, live workshops, and a taboo-breaking magazine.
CHEEX is one of our latest sponsors, so thank you for sponsoring these podcast episodes. I was checking out their kinky stuff last night, and well, hello. They even have like a tickle video, and I was like, hi.
They do not.
Hello.
Wow.
Which is really rare to find, so I was really happy.
They also have my favourite thing, which is audio porn. So if you want to just sit back, relax, and masturbate whilst you're listening to a really sexy story, you can choose a female or a male voice to read out the stories. So they have different ones. I was just looking at one earlier, all about wintry hiking and finding like a log fire to like get all loved up next to.
So CHEEX is kind of sexual entertainment and education. It's ad-free, virus-free, and completely legal, which of course we love.
And we have a special treat for you curious fuckers. You can get access to CHEEX free for 14 days when you choose their yearly subscription.
Their membership costs $14.90 a month if you pay monthly, or £9.90 a month if you pay yearly.
But use the code GIVEN for 14 days free when you select a yearly subscription, which you can cancel at any time.
Check out the CHEEX website now at getcheeks.com. That's spelled GETCHEEX.com, and the code is GIVEN. Hey Lucy! Hi, welcome!
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's such a pleasure. How's your day been so far?
It's been okay. It's been quite hectic, but I'm excited. I've come curious. I'm ready to go.
Oh, baby. Yeah,
that's what we love.
we've already had a bit of a mad start today with tech issues and everything, but you're here. We can hear you. And yeah, we're so excited for you being on our podcast because you're such an incredible inspiration, and just seeing how much like you've grown and how you present yourself on your social media is just incredible. Like, can you tell our curious fuckers a bit about yourself and who you are?
Yeah, so I am Lucy Dawson. I'm 26 now, but when I was 20, I had a rare brain disease called anti-endothelin receptor autoimmune encephalitis. But because it's me and it's a spicy story, it was misdiagnosed. And they actually told me, and they told my parents, that I was having a mental breakdown. So they sectioned me in a psychiatric ward for 3 months. And I'm sure everyone can guess, if you have a rare brain disease and it's not being treated, but on top of that, you're having this fictitious mental breakdown treated with drugs, etc., things are going to get quite bad. And they did get quite bad, to the point that on my 21st birthday, they said to my parents, look, she's going to die, and we don't know why, because people don't just randomly die of a mental breakdown, but Lucy is. And as a last-ditch attempt, we can give her electroconvulsive therapy, which is, it's like shock therapy. Well, it is shock therapy, and you know, people will probably picture that more being a much more prehistoric kind of thing, which it is. But in some cases today, it's used for really severe cases of depression. But the key is, if it's used, it has to be monitored so carefully and, you know, in such a controlled environment, which mine wasn't. I had 3 rounds of ECT on my 21st birthday. And at that point, I was completely catatonic. So with the brain disease, I'd gone from being like peak highs, like manic, and eventually fallen off and become catatonic, unable to feel my own body. And because it was an autoimmune disease, all my autonomic functions like blinking, breathing, swallowing were all just shutting off. So yeah, I was dying. Or as I always say on TikTok, because you're not allowed to say dying, unaliving.
Unaliving?
You're not allowed to say you're dying on TikTok?
No, you'll get no views if you say that. You've got to say unaliving.
Oh my goodness gracious me.
Yeah, my parents were told that I needed this shock therapy, and I had it 3 rounds on my 21st birthday. And the miracle is that ECT is in no way a treatment for encephalitis whatsoever. And if the same situation occurred again in the same body on the same day, it most likely wouldn't work. It was a miracle. And so that would be a great end to the story, wouldn't it? That would be just wonderful. But of course, it's me, so that's not what happened. So after the 3rd round, they put me back on a ward bed, unattended, so no one was watching me. 21-year-old young girl who was now having these big seizures from the ECT, because that's what it does. It triggers seizures in the brain, and that's how it ultimately reset my brain through these tonic-clonic seizures. Wow. But they put me back on a ward bed with 4 pillows behind my head and no sides upon the bed. So, of course, I had a really big seizure and I fell out the bed because there were no sides up. And next to the bed was a really big radiator pipe with no cage on it. And like I said, it was my 21st birthday. My birthday's towards the end of November, so the pipe was very hot. And then you add the other layer in where I was catatonic, couldn't feel my own body. So I just laid burning on this pipe. And ultimately it burned all the way through my sciatic nerve, which is actually on your bum cheek. So that permanently paralyzed the bottom of my left leg. So I've now had this new physical disability, which is paralysis in the bottom of my leg. But on top of that, also because of the brain disease, when I came round, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who my parents were. I couldn't speak. So anything above speaking, like writing, reading, doing makeup, cooking, anything, I could not do whatsoever. So I had to relearn every single thing from scratch, as though I was a toddler when I was 21. But as I say, I'm 26 now, and we're trying.
Fucking hell, that's a traumatic fuck off story.
Yeah. So something I always say is, so they put me in the psychiatric ward. They said I had a mental breakdown when I didn't, but by God, by the time they were done with me, do I have enough mental illness to last me a fucking lifetime?
Right?
Like
It sounds like, to me, it's like a horror film.
It's a literal horror film. They need to make a film about you with you starring.
Yeah. So there's a film. There's a film on Netflix called Brain on Fire, which is actually about a woman from New York who had the same thing, and she was in for like a month. So when I came out and eventually was like researching everything, I found that and I watched it and I was like, that's me.
Yeah.
That's me. And do you know what? Adding on to that as well, obviously, she was 21. It happened to her, young woman. I was 21. The more research I've done, it's such a gendered thing. The misdiagnosis, the implications of gender on it means that women, all the time, young women, she's hysterical, goes back historically. You know, there's even papers written that
even
suggest
today.
that... Yeah, there's even papers that suggest women who were like tried as witches in Salem and could have just been suffering from a disease like the one I had. And I remember the first time I wrote that, like my heart like cracked, because you just believe it when you've lived it. Yeah, I believe that.
It's really mad. I've been thinking a lot about how kind of like Western society and doctors and like the things that we go through as women are so under researched because we are women and they don't see it as important.
Yeah, and that's why it, like conditions like endometriosis take so long to diagnose, EDS, things like that.
Yeah, and it's just it's like it's so brain boggling that it's still happening today, and like we're living in this like modern like feminist society, and we're still dealing with the fallout that
medical misogyny, that's what it is. And I think as well as that, when you add on other layers as well, like other intersectionalities you can be a part of, it becomes even bigger. So if you're black and a woman, you're more likely to get worse treatment than I got, you know. And how do we stop that? It's how please can't we?
So how are the symptoms from the disease compared to having a mental health, like a mental breakdown? Like, why did they think it was that? So basically it's where it sort of crosses over, because it can be things like hallucinations, personality changes, etc. But the key thing is, in my case and in a lot of cases, so my parents picked me up from uni at 6 a.m. because my housemate said I was sat in the middle of my bedroom floor. I'd ripped it to pieces and I was just shaking backwards and forwards with my eyes bulging. I couldn't say anything except her name. So her name was Beck. So I was just Bex, like frantic. And so from 6 that morning till 5:30, they were driving around all different hospitals. No one would take me in because I was a uni student. So wrong postcode, blah, blah, blah. So 5:30 that evening. And bear in mind, I'd tried to escape out the car on the motorway. And in the waiting room for hospital, my mum had to sit on top of me to restrain me. And they just literally took one look at me and said, she's had a mental breakdown. No tests. And the thing is, no one in my family had any history of mental health problems. I had no history of mental health problems. And the kicker is, all they needed to do was a blood test. All they needed to do was a blood test and they would have seen the antibodies. If they couldn't have done that, they could have done a lumbar puncture. There were so many tests would have indicated that that's what it was. But because I was a young woman, because I was at uni, straight away it's maybe she takes drugs or mental breakdown. They didn't bother. And, you know, something that I've learned, I mean, I don't know if you guys can maybe see, I have my zebra print skirt on, but also I have, maybe if I angle that down, my leg is actually zebra print. And the reason is that in medicine, medical students are taught, when you hear hoofbeats, think horse, not zebra. And what that translates to is, if you see symptoms of something, assume it's the most obvious thing. So assume it's the horse. So you see someone's personality's changed, they've had a mental breakdown. But what that doesn't account for is the medical zebras, which are the rare diseases, like which I had. So, you know, when I had the opportunity to have the zebra print splint, you best believe I did. Girl, I mean, what a fucking bounce back though. Like, You've turned such a negative, such a horrible moment in your life and turned it into something that is magical, is that you're bringing awareness out there and you're utilizing it. You're turning those weaknesses into a giant strength. I mean, for anyone else out there that might have gone through something similar, like, can you give them advice on how you've got to where you are today?
Yeah, so I think something that's like mega important is any kind of story of someone overcoming adversity, and you know, some people like to phrase it as overcoming disability, which nobody ever does because, you know, I'm still disabled, is that you always have to remember, when you see someone being presented to you as inspiration porn, remember that they didn't go from the day that the thing happened to the sparkly thing that you're seeing then. So this was not me. This was not me for many years. So at first, I didn't think I would ever leave my parents' spare bedroom. I was in like a completely vegetative state. I really went through hell and back every step of the way trying to relearn things. There were so many times, like I even said to my grandparents that I wished that I had never woken up on that hospital bed, and that's genuinely how I felt. Yeah. And then again, when navigating this new world of disability and inaccessibility, and sort of being exposed to the massive flaws in the benefit system and the lack of help and access for disabled people, you know, the years between when everything happened and probably only up to this year now were the most depressed I've ever been. And in life, you get like these little turning points that can change the direction that you're going and can change the way that you think. And I remember, so I actually managed to go back to university, believe it or not, and I graduated. Wow. And I graduated with the same grade that I was getting before I had the brain disease. So I don't know if I just wasn't trying before or. But I remember it was hell trying to write dissertation, trying to do anything with a brain injury that was so fresh. You know, university is difficult for anyone, but I don't know how I did that.
I don't know how you did it.
One day when I was having such a hard time at uni. So when I was at uni, I did not leave my bedroom the whole time. They put all my lectures online because I just couldn't cope. Mm-hmm. And I remember one day I became part of lots of like Facebook groups of survivors and their friends and families on Facebook, and every single day you would log in and you would see someone else had lost their life, someone else's family member had lost their life to encephalitis, and every time you'd see it, it would be like the grief all over again, because when you go through something like that, you do have to grieve the person you were before. But I remember one morning in particular when I was having this awful week, I woke up and a man had posted that his fiance, aged 21, had passed away. I think because it was the same age as me and it was a girl, like I could not stop crying. I cried the whole day, just laid in bed crying. And then that evening I sat up and I just thought, Lucy, what are you actually doing right now? Like, what are you actually doing? What would that girl's fiance, her family and her friends give to have this second chance at life that you've got? And you're terrified of everything. You won't go anywhere by yourself. You'll barely go anywhere at all. But you've been given such a gift, and you still have your voice when this girl and so many others are losing their voice or every day to encephalitis. And you've got this little platform going, you've got this little way that you can spread a message, and what's now stopping you from just shouting from the rooftops every day you can to try and stop one person from going through what they've been through or even what you've been through. And then after that day, literally every time opportunity knocked, I'm ready, I'm there, I'll shout anywhere. And I know people in my real life maybe are sick of hearing about encephalitis, but I literally do not care. I do not care, because how else are people going to know? If me and my family had known the word encephalitis, good God, it would have been a different story.
Yeah, of course.
And it's amazing as well, like social media can be such a negative place, and the fact that you can use it and like use it for like spreading awareness, like, you know, all the kind of positivity and knowledge that you do put out there, it's amazing. I think like there's two different sides to social media, isn't there? Like,
yeah, definitely.
Especially as a woman, especially being a woman who presents herself as fun, sexy, bubbly, I'm going to dress the way that I want. You must get fucking hell for it.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. This is the really interesting thing is that, so if someone told the story I've just told you,
Yeah.
but you couldn't see them, versus if I tell the story and you can see what I look like, and you put it both on the Daily Mail, or other newspapers are available, and read the comments, you will get two entirely different takes. So just the other week, some big Facebook page, whatever, made a compilation of all my TikToks about encephalitis.
Yeah.
And I watched it and I thought, this is brilliant. What a fantastic thing for awareness. And then I read the comments. And people, purely because of how I looked, it was attention seeker, pass me the world's smallest violin, and all this like misogynistic, horrible stuff.
God.
And
What
are you actually talking about? Like, what do you actually mean? I am doing nothing but trying to help you if this ever comes to your doorstep, if this is ever your family, if this is ever your daughter. I am honestly doing nothing but trying to help.
Yeah.
But because I've got big boobs and blonde hair, I'm an attention seeker. I am seeking attention. I'm seeking attention for a very important cause.
And there's also nothing wrong with seeking.
Tits means clicks. If it means getting cleavage out, I'll do it. If that's the only thing that'll get you to listen. And by the way, if I'm coming up on your For You page, that's your algorithm, hun. That's what you've been looking at.
This is something that I've noticed as well, like on social media, and I'm sure that you both have as well, that like if you put a picture up and you're in clothes or whether it's not that
Looking
sexy,
normal.
like not like hardly anyone will like it. But if you put like a sexy lingerie pic up, but it's not just men that like it, it's all your female
Women as
followers
well,
that
yeah.
like it as well.
For
And
sure.
Instagram pushes it up. So you know what, like if you do have to put like sexy photos in lingerie up, like yes, it's empowering, and I think it's really important for women to see other women out there being like proud of their bodies and proud of their sexuality.
There's absolutely no shame in my game. If I've got a message that I want to get out, I know what will make people click it, and I know what won't.
Yeah.
And there's a lot worse things you could be trying to do with your social media than what I'm trying to do. So
Exactly.
it doesn't hurt my feelings.
even not even including a message. You know what? If you just wanted to put sexy fucking photos up and just be you, because that's what makes you feel good, that's what empowers you. We should fucking be able to do 100%. It without discrimination, without those horrible, nasty comments. And I think it's people projecting, right? It's people projecting their worries, their fears, and we need to change it. We need to normalize it, and especially if you have a message that you just want to push out there.
Sorry. No, you go.
Just before Christmas, my partner took me on a date, and where I lived, there was this great big like Christmas photo drop background, like lights and everything, and we had lovely evening and everything. And we were outside these lights because there was like a group of people before us and a group of people after us. Everyone gets photos there all the time. So he took 6 photos of me for about 1 minute 40 seconds. We were there. Didn't think anything of it. Got home that evening, and on I won't say where I live, but the City Problems Facebook page, someone had hung out their window, taken pictures of him, taking pictures of me, and the caption was something like, just saw this fella take 800 pictures of his missus, poor bloke, patience of a saint. And again, it's that you didn't take pictures of the family before, you didn't take pictures of the men after. It's the silly woman in the silly dress and the silly coat with the silly hair, can't enjoy anything. Like, are we not beyond the point of just making women feel embarrassed for just enjoying something? And you know, my partner could have very well said, Lucy, please can I take a picture of you there, you look really lovely. You know, maybe these people just don't have love in their life where they don't know that kind of thing can happen too. But it was just that I had to be the one who was mocked because heaven forbid I put makeup and a nice dress on and wanted pictures in front of a photo backdrop.
I'm
and
trying
of course
to think
all the
of
comments were horrible as well.
I'm trying to think of like the gender reverse. So like say if a bloke went through the exact same thing as you and they now have a platform, and every single photo they're putting up, like, you know, like their bodies out, chest out, they're looking good, they're trying on clothes, that would be completely differently received than to what you get. And it just blows my mind. That's like sexism to the fucking nines. Like, why are we still like this? It's still happening.
One of my friends, I don't know if you have both watched Sex Education.
Yes,
baby.
we love it.
So one of my friends, George, plays Isaac in Sex Education. He's
Amazing.
and again, so the topic is sex. The thing's all about sex, and if his performance has been nothing but praise, which 1,000,000% it should. He's fantastic. Yeah. He is fantastic. But can you imagine if it was if it was me doing something sexy, anything sexy, even this, we'll get.
Where does this all come from? Why is it like this? Is it just porn, or is it like all the systemic misogynistic shit that we've gone through for years and centuries of years?
I feel like it's just objectification, really, isn't it, of women?
I think for disabled people, it can be two really polar opposite things, where either disabled women are infantilized so much that a lot of people think disabled people don't have sex. That's just a fact, and I think that comes from a lack of education around disabled sex education and everything. Or the opposite is disabled women are really hyper-sexualized and fetishized, and that is equally as problematic. Unless you're happy and open and consenting to being the subject of a fetish, there's especially in women who are amputees. I know the stuff that obviously I do as well. People get online is like horrific, and something that I find really interesting that I get all the time is, perfect woman, you can't run away from me, or you'll need 2 walking sticks by the time I'm done with you. Just say you're a predator. Like, people are so openly confident to say rapey, predatory things to disabled people, and I don't know if, again, it's because society sees us as lesser and like an inconvenience, a burden, so it's okay to be disgusting and say something like that to a disabled person, and nothing will happen to your account, nothing will happen to you. People will laugh, but it's not funny.
That is not funny.
That's unbelievable.
Wow, that's mad.
Perfect woman can't run away from me. What are you actually saying? Because I know what you're saying, but I can't believe that is what you're saying.
Yeah,
it's mind blowing. Like, actually, that people think that those things are okay to say.
Yeah.
Wow. Jesus. Changing the subject slightly, what has been your process for like gaining your kind of like the confidence that you have on social media, and like getting back in touch with your body as well, and being able to be like, you know, proud.
A sexual, sexy being. Fuck.
Yeah.
So after everything that happened, I completely lost my way with how I felt about myself, my body, and everything. I struggled a lot with weight and everything. Not that that's got anything to do with like how you actually, if you're sexy or not, but it was just how I felt, because I just couldn't make any effort with my look or exercise, anything, food, because I was so ill. And it was more that my body had changed so much that I just didn't even recognize the person that I was looking at anymore. I just didn't feel like myself. But I remember, even since before I was disabled, before everything happened, I'd always had, I call them WOMPERS, bigger WOMPERS, because, you know.
You have a series on Instagram about will it womp, right?
Yeah,
will it womp?
Yeah. I'd always had larger WOMPERS, and so since 13, I remember when I was 13, 14, my Facebook account got hacked, and it was some dark web thing. They took all my pictures of me in school uniform and posted them on all the forums everywhere. Since that, the internet has been a scary place. And the scary thing is that the people that do it want you to be scared. They want you to be worried. So it was, I never used to really go out showing boobies, showing any figure or anything, because I felt self-conscious because of all of that, which I shouldn't have had to. But after everything that happened, it was kind of just this realization that I'd already gone through the worst thing possible. So what was going to happen next? What was going to happen if I didn't just do whatever I felt, or just, like I said earlier, take every opportunity? And that's kind of where I got my confidence from. And in embracing my disability and my disabled body, that kind of also meant embracing every part of myself. And the first time I ever worked with a brand, it was a Fuller Bus brand. Playful Promises sent me some sets, and I remember I was so scared the first time I ever posted in lingerie, mainly because of what people that I knew would think, not so much like, you know,
the randoms.
And the response was just wow. And then someone said to me, maybe a year down the line, like they messaged me and said, thank you so much for reminding me that disabled and sexy are not two mutually exclusive terms. And that was something that really stuck with me. And then I found someone in the disabled community years before maybe had created this hashtag disabled and sexy, and I thought that was so awesome. And also there's like babes with mobility aids, and just all about reclaiming the idea that yes, be disabled, be proud to be disabled. Don't ever dull that side down of yourself. Don't ever let people say to you, oh well, I don't see you as disabled, because that's a huge part of your identity. But also be what else you want as well, because your disability doesn't negate any other thing that you can be. So sexy, beautiful, clever, anything you want to be. And then so I sort of became involved more in the Fuller Bus community, and then just recently, maybe the last year, when I just started womping all over the place with the WOMPERS, I realised on social media you would see these like trending clothes, these viral clothes constantly on the same body, and you know, social media is a lot of copy and paste everywhere. And as well as increasing the representation of disability, I realized, well, Alicia, you have got these massive ripe juicy melons, and I want to see how that top, which looks impossible, would look on your melons. So I just started finding whichever viral clothes are wearing and put in a series called hashtag Will It Womp to see if it womped, and the people love it. They can't get enough.
We do love it. It's beautiful, especially because it's like, again, tits are amazing, your tits are beautiful. I want to see your tits being happy, and I want them and like having their own show, and it's just magical.
Well, I think, and as well, when people think about big boobs, it's always kind of sexualized rather than actually seeing, like, you know, people think about like not having like tits as being like kind of negative, and they're like everyone's wants bigger tits, but actually like there are like hardships that come with like having big boobs.
And that's something that I found, that loads of people with large boobs feel like they constantly have to cover them up and just wear really like bland, boring clothing, but they'll see like someone with a smaller chest wear something so cute and be like, I wish I could wear that. And I'm like, you can.
It's about marketing, right? It's about finding your niche, finding the thing that makes you feel good or that's unique about you, and marketing it as best as possible, whether or not that's your wompers, or whether or not that's your sexuality, the fact that you go to sex parties, the fact that you, I don't know, I'm talking about sex here because that's just what Florence and I do. I'm just like, what else do people do that isn't sex related?
Do you know what? So I'm signed with a modelling agency, and something that I kept hearing towards the start when I didn't have such a platform or whatever was, no brand will work with you because of the way you present yourself. No one will ever take your story seriously. No one will ever relate to you or be inspired by you because of the way you look, because of the way. And fuck that. I will look the sexiest thing known to man, and if you can't also understand what a horrific time I've had and what a message I have to share, then that's your loss, mate. Like, that's but I know loads of brands will avoid me like the plague, because literally just because I've got big tits, and that makes me so cross, because they all know sex sells. And they'll use very slim models in tiny little pieces and everything. Sex sells, but disability in sex, no, too far. Could never do that. And that.
It's changing, though. It's changing for the future. We've got a long way to go, but we're getting there, slowly but surely, because of people like you.
Having these conversations, right? That's why it's so important to have these conversations and like keep doing what you do, because you're putting such an amazing message out there, and you are probably helping so many people, like so much more than you even know as well, and just owning it. And we love that. We love it.
We love you, and you just got to keep making your incredible content and helping loads of people feel sexy and amazing.
I'm aware of the time, and like unfortunately we have a little bit less time than usual with you, but what where can our curious fuckers find you to get more of your juicy stuff?
So Instagram, my ats are so outdated, but I can't change them now. It's too late in the game. So it's Ludor, LUUUDAW, or TikTok, Twitter. It's Ludor in the sky with only one U.
Amazing.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been
Thank you.
such
Sorry
a pleasure.
It has been, thank you. And of course, Curious Fuckers, I hope you like this episode. Please give us a thumbs up or share this episode wide and proud to anyone. Wide and proud? Wide and proud.
Wide
And if you
proud.
didn't have
Wide
enough,
and
you can always ask for them to have me back.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes. Please
Exactly.
vote to have her back, because I feel like we could talk
Vote.
forever. Vote. I feel like we could talk to you about so many good things. You have such good insight, and
We've
got
only
a
just
beautiful brain.
touched the surface. I
Yes.
feel. But yeah, remember to rate, subscribe to this podcast, leave us a review, and follow us on our social media at Come Curious to get involved with future upcoming episodes. And we will see you next Thursday, Curious Fuckers.
See you next Thursday, and buy our merch, please.
Yeah.